Guys, let's see if we're live. Happy fabulous Friday. Merry Christmas. I'm excited to have a little project for you. It's kind of a fun project actually because it's using scraps, So I just wanted to get on here and do I guess we have 2 more posts before the end of the year, but just before Christmas. But yeah. So happy fabulous Friday. I hope you're having a great day. And it's really cold here in San Antonio, like literally freezing. I think it got up to 34 degrees just now. And it's going to drop back down to freezing temperatures right after sunset. So it was, I think, 16 degrees this morning. So that's really unusual for San Antonio. So we're a bit cold. I'm most worried about pipes bursting in the apartment complex because that's what happened last time we had a crazy freeze. So I have a little PTSD from that. But anyway, I hope you're having a great day. And yeah, I'm just going to get started with I don't have too much to say other than I'm going to remind you about the bundle. Oh, and all the stuff that's on sale. Don't forget the Yeti, the dies for the Yeti, the raccoon, all those, almost most of those mini catalog, all the Christmas catalog stuff, the Halloween sets, most of those are all on sale right now. The Best Witches, the Harvest paper, rustic harvest paper, all that stuff is on sale right now. So I recommend you go ahead and grab it while you can. And yeah, that's about it. And then there's also a good amount of stuff in the clearance right now, which was really surprising. They normally don't do a clearance at the end of the year like that. So it was kind of surprising. But anyway, so, all right, let's get started. Go ahead and use this host code if you guys want to pick anything up. I don't know if I showed you guys these ears before, but I made these ears these are from Amazon. These little, the ears themselves are from Amazon. This little hat is from a Dollar Tree headband. This bow came with these little ears. You can get them on Amazon for like 12 of them for like $13 or $14. And so, anyway, I just like took the bow off, took the little hat off the other headband and made these. And so cute, right? Anyway, I just thought it was super cute and fun. And so, and then I added this is Stampin' Up! Ribbon from last year. And I added it to make the little Minnie Mouse, make it more Minnie Mouse and less Santa. So anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. I've posted lots of different pictures of my ears, I feel like, lately. But so, framed florets. Now this is new. It's going to be available also in January. You're getting like a sneak peek at it. The bundle comes with these great dies. I added magnets so that the dies could hang on. And these dies are what I used to make these different shapes. And then this one, I'm going to keep this one out actually so we can use that. I'm going to put it right here. But I'll keep these out so I can show you which ovals. So there's 3 different ovals. There's this one which I've shown you before is like my favorite Cinderella oval. Then there's this one, which is like a standard oval. But then there's also this larger one, which makes, cuts out these little hearts. And I'll show you all those pieces here in a second. And I love the font on this particular set. I like that it's partially script and then, well, I mean, I guess this is script also because it looks like handwritten for a beautiful, but it's a little different, so I really, really appreciate this. But I really wanted to remind you of this paper. Once this paper is sold out, or the 30th, whichever comes first, this paper is gone. And so this paper is what we're going to be using some of this paper today. So the other side, I made a Cinderella card with this one. I love this Cinderella style. Oh, no, I didn't. I tried to make something else with it. I didn't make a Cinderella card using this yet. And then there's the check on the back. Then there are these flowers, which I'm going to show you guys in a second what I did with that. And the back side has this little sprig. We used this on a Cinderella Christmas card. Or it might have been a Frozen. No, it was Cinderella. And then this one here with the berries. And the back side has this blushing bride. That might be petal pink. Then we have this one, which is my favorite piece. And that's the back side. It has these little ferns. And so it's a great pack of paper. There's a lot of great stuff in it. I'm going to show you the other pieces here in a second because I already cut them out. Oh, here we go. No, I can grab one here. This one here is another really good one. This one we used before. And we're going to use it again today. The back side has this pink. And then we're using this one, which on the back has some check or some design, but it's still much smaller, almost like a calico. It makes me think of like calico fabric. And the back side has these little, this funny little, like almost like a zipper design. And so we're going to be using that paper today. So now this will be unavailable as of December 30th. You won't be able to get it anymore. Maybe it'll come back in a clearance sale, maybe not. Even then, when things come back on the clearance sales, many times they sell out within even just an hour or two. I've seen things literally disappear while I put them in my cart. So just be aware. So I saw this really cool technique, which I hadn't really thought of. So I was just looking online for someone else that had designed with this paper. And what they had done was literally, they showed how they could cut a 12 by 12 and you could cut it into, I think it was, oh, let me look at the page. Let me look at it's create, with terrygaines.com. And she said you could make 24 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think you can actually make 14. It's just that the direction would change. But you could make 24 cards using this technique, because what this does is this is basically cutting, this is 5.5 by 1 inch. So you know how sometimes we wind up with these 1-inch strips? I had never thought about designing a whole card with just a single 1 inch. I've seen it where you do like 3 of them. You know, I've seen them where you do like a 2 or 3 inch, you know, with a large strip. But I don't think I've ever intentionally seen it layered like this. And I thought that was kind of a cool technique, or just a cool layout, I guess, not technique, but a layout. And so that's why I went ahead and I decided to use this particular layout for this set. So as I showed you before, the ovals, there's the one with the hearts doesn't cut out an oval outside the hearts. It just cuts out an inner circle. And then it has these little hearts left over. And then you have the Cinderella one that I always talk about. And this one is nice and big, but what comes out of that is this giant oval. And so it's a nice big oval. And it's a nice big oval. And then, yeah, and then there's a beveled edge. I'll hold it a little closer. Hopefully you see that nice, cute beveled edge. I like that. And then there's this one here, which cuts out this inner piece here. So you're getting a lot of different sized ovals. This one doesn't have any beveling on it, but I'm using these ovals in several different ways. But I love the extra framing on this particular die. I like how that looks. And there's a couple different ways you can use these. I just pulled out all the ovals because I had them here handy. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead and then I just store them back in my case here because I didn't want to, you know, have to mess with it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to so we're going to make a couple cards that are considered like quote unquote feminine, and then a couple that are just kind of neutral or sort of masculine, but really more like just a kind of a neutral. So I'm going to go ahead and, so the back side of this one that we used before is this pink. And we're going to use the pink in another card in a minute. So this is 5.5 inches by 1 inch is how big the designer series paper is. I think my paper might be a little bit too long, but I can trim it. Okay. Yeah, I think my white piece is a little too short actually. So that's a little annoying. Okay. Let's see if I can slide it. Maybe a little. No, it's already dry. So it's just a little, it went over the edge a bit. And so you do these 3 layers. My white piece was just a little bit too short. It's like a 1/16 of an inch too short. So maybe I'll just trim it. There we go. So what I did is I lined up. It was just a little bit too short. And it was, for me, it was obvious. So I lined up my layers. What I'm going to do to fix that little edging problem, I'm going to go ahead and I want to trim off this little edge here. It's going to look a little funny on the card, just a tiny bit, and trim off this edging here to meet the white. And that way at least it's even. Oh, and now it's actually fitting the card. So my card was actually a little bit short. So I might have actually cut the designer series paper a little bit long. So it's fitting this card. And this card happens to be, I think this is called the hamburger fold or whatever, because I just happen to have this white card base. And I thought it was kind of cool that she used just plain white. There's no extra cardstock other than these small strips, which is kind of cool. I just thought that was kind of a good economic way to make a lot of cards. And when my aunt passed away, I couldn't do a whole lot for my cousins, so I volunteered to make thank you cards for them. And actually using the small pieces like this really helped because it allowed me to do something for the funeral without it being too extensive. And so this is not a neutral card because I think the pink makes it a little, oh, I made it a little further up, so that's okay. So, and I decided to use that larger oval and then take the smaller inner oval and layer it over the top. And I'm not going to actually, I'm going to pop this on dimensionals, but I'm not going to pop this on dimensionals. So I just thought it was kind of cool to use up all that, use that up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to use Night of Navy on this. Let me grab it. Night of Navy is almost black, but, and I think I'll just make this like a general thank you card. Oh. Let me try it 2 ways. Let me do a stamp off and see if the stamp off will be better. I think all my paper fell. My scrap paper. I had like a whole bunch of scrap paper. Oh, here's a good one. No, kitty. Nope. No, I want it in the full. Although I kind of like this lighter, but I like the full color. So I'm going to stamp a thank you with all my heart with the Night of Navy. Okay, good. And I think I'll, I don't know if I'm going to use Night of Navy again. I don't think so. I think all the stuff I pulled out was different. And I'll need to clean this off. Let me get my little cleaner. My chamois. Clean it off before I put it in another thing of ink. There we go. My little chamois is a little dry. I need to wet it. I haven't done much stamping in the last few days, so my chamois gotten a little dry. You just I just go to the sink and I wet it again. Okay, let's try that off. Yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna glue this down. Real simple, but look how quick that card was. So we're doing a couple of these today because I want to show you how you actually can get such great designs with just such a simple layout, but you can get several all at once. So it was Creates with Tammy Gaines was the name. Terry Gaines, I think it said. Terry Gaines is her name. I want to give her credit. She has a great PDF that she made to show you how these can be, how you can cut everything out, which I thought was kind of cool. And so no pumpkin. Okay, so let's see if we can get this. Oh, I almost put it on upside down. Good thing I checked. That's it. Done. I'm not going to add any rhinestones, anything else. That's it. Done. I just think that that's a perfect little just stamp, ink, and paper. Done. You know, just keep it simple sometimes, you know. So that's that card. I mean, if you wanted to add a couple like blingy things, that would be great, but I'm not doing that this time. Normally I would, but I'm not going to on this particular one. Here's another simple one. And I decided to use, oh, that's the other. Let me grab this one then. No, I want to wait on the flowers. Okay. So this one is the other side of another piece. And actually, you know what I could do is I could do it like this, where I do my oval this way. I think I might try that. And do I want to do wishing birthday? I think that looks better that way. Or do I want to do thank you again? I think I might just do thank you again. Let me stamp that. Just keeping it simple. I'm going to change the design just a touch, but still keep the basic integrity of it. I love that font. I just think it's a good script. All right, so we're going to glue these down. The back side of this has that cute little calico kind of flower thing that I was talking about. It's not really calico, but hi, Sylvia. Okay, so this is just the perfect, if you need to make a large quantity of cards, this is a good design. It's also a good design if you need something kind of quick. And, or not quick, if you have these scraps left over is what I meant to say. Yeah, I think I cut all my pieces a little bit large. I must have cut them a little bit too recklessly because this one's too large too, too large for the card. So I'm glad yeah, I guess I trimmed it. I was doing it kind of quick at the last minute today because I didn't plan it yesterday. I was just trying to focus on getting it home and getting everything I needed. I only had to go to the store and pick up a few things in the morning, but it just kind of threw off my game. Yeah, I trimmed these way too big on each one. It's just because I was in a rush. So, but if you have good longer scissors, notice how I'm using a pair of scissors that has kind of a long edge. I just picked these up from Michael's. The scissors that we have from Stampin' Up! Are good, but notice how they're a little bit shorter. I mean, I guess they're not that much shorter, but I feel like they're just a little, I don't know. I like how this one is just, this one's like a ½ an inch longer. And so it's the perfect scissors for me, for trimming, in my opinion, and stuff like that. And so you could also have larger scissors, but you know. All right. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to put this off to the side on this one. So it's going to be up and down. Oh, this is like popping up on the top here too. The whole thing was a little long. There we go. And that was a little tough to trim all three like that because it's a little thick, but okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, I think this needs to be on dimensionals, but I kind of wanted this just to be on dimensionals and this to be flat, except I don't think it will be because this is too thick. So, no, Kitty, no. I guess, yeah, see, because what I wanted to do was like we had done in the previous card, where I have this oval down and this would pop up. I guess I could add double dimensionals on this. So let me get the mini dimensionals out and put them around the edges of this, because it really does need dimensionals. Otherwise it's gonna look real wonky. By at least, it's gonna just look uneven, I guess. And you just gotta be careful. So like if I'm gonna put this down, I'm gonna put my dimensional here, but I'm not going to put any that overlay this piece here, because if you do, it'll make it wonky again. And so I just have to find the spaces. Oops. This one's in the wrong spot. So this one here is good. And I'll put one right here. Let me see. Yeah, because if you put another one here, it's gonna really pop it a little too high, I think. Let me try it and see. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be too much. Yeah, you still get that uneven, and I don't want it uneven. There we go. Okay, so it's gonna be a little off because I'm just putting one here and then those there, but that's okay. We want it to be an even design. Okay. Let's see, are they all off? Good. All right, let's put our oval down. I kind of like things when they're off center. So if you wanted to make it centered, go for it. I just kind of like things when they're a little off center. Part of it, I'll be honest, part of it is because when you do things a little off center, it's less likely to see a mistake, one, and two, I think that it just, I don't know, gives a nice little extra oomph to something. So I'm going to be doing double dimensionals on this. So it's going to make it pop quite high, which is not my norm, but I want it to have a different layer than the frame, the other frame. So I'm going to peel off all these and add another layer of dimensionals. I wouldn't normally do that, but I really want it to be high. And you can still mail it. It's still within a 1/4 inch. And so I'm going to layer these on top. And they don't have to be perfectly centered when you layer the second layer, but you want them to be pretty solidly stuck on there. I like the dimensional from Stampin' Up! Because they are so narrow. Although sometimes, like in a case like this, it would be kind of nice if we had a little thicker one, but I don't think I'd use it very often. I like how narrow our dimensionals are because you don't see them on, sometimes I've gotten some cards with dimensionals that are really thick, like double the size of these right here. And that's just a lot, in my opinion. Okay, good. And this one actually could be a very good masculine card. I wonder if that is my oval. Oh, my oval is crooked. Is it? No, my oval isn't crooked. I think this might be a little crooked, but no, it's not crooked. Okay. Now I did put, oh, see, that's what I get for putting too many on. But I like how, you see how it's like 2 layers? I like that double layer look. I just think that has a nice design, 3D design. Although you can see your dimensionals when you peek in the side, but I don't know, I just like how that looks with the double layer. I think my oval is crooked. It might not be, but it looks like it's crooked. You know what I'll do is that if I add some bling or something to it, it'll distract from it being a little crooked. Yeah, something's a little off on this. I can't point out. I think it might be my stamp is a little crooked. So if I add some little doodads down here, maybe some black embellishments, that'll take away, detract from that. But yeah, the oval, maybe it's, I think it's the stamping is crooked. Yeah, anyway, I think the stamping is crooked. Anyway, but there's my second card. So there we go. And as you can see, this is almost 12 inches, this strip of designer series paper. And so, you know, you could get 24 out of one sheet, which is 288 out of a whole pack. So if you needed to make 288 cards, that's a really good one. So, all right, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this one here. So this oval was that stitched one. Now this is the large oval that comes out of this design, the Cinderella design. It pops out of this one. And I'm gonna be using this one on purpose because of the fact that I like that it lays, the tooth can lay on top of each other, no problem. So before I stamp, I'm gonna glue these together because then I can make sure it's centered. If I have it in just the wrong spot, it's not gonna be centered right. And so I'm covering up that beveled edge, but that's okay. There we go. And I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do the birthday stamp for this. And I'm going to use, no, I'm not going to use Blushing Bright. Am I? I thought I was going to use a different color. I guess let's try it out. Let's try it with two different ones and see which one I like better. So we'll do the Wishing. I don't want the color to be exactly the same as the cardstock. And this is polished pink. Technically this is polished pink, but it's like a lighter version of polished pink. It looks like a little too dark. When I'm using it, I don't know. Polished pink is it's, as you can see, it's really dark, but you see how this is like a lighter version of it? It's not exactly the same. It's connected. Technically it's from the same ink, but it's like the printing of it on the paper made it a little lighter than the actual ink. Because I had a hard time trying to match the paper, which is unusual because usually I can match everything no problem. But it wasn't so easy this time. No, I don't want that one. A lighter, I'll do the second one here because I think that'll look good. So I'll stamp it off and then I'll stamp it in the center. Yeah. So I'll still use polished pink and see, I'll show you polished pink on with one of the others here in a second. So I'm going to stamp it off, give the ink just a lighter shade, and put it here inside the center of this oval. Yeah, I like that look. There we go. Okay, so yeah, because let's see, let me get, but see how this, like this one matches this a little bit better. It's just a little bit darker. It's just a little darker than this one here. This was just too light. It just won't match for some reason. I'm just having a hard time matching this one. It's technically polished pink, but, and this was the back side of that blue paper we just used a little bit ago. And so this was the other part of that strip that I took off. So I thought that was kind of cool. So you don't waste your paper. Sometimes it's hard to use up these little tiny strips, but using this layout, you really can. So I think I cut it funny again. I was really overzealous with my cutting today. Yeah. Yeah, I did. And this is Blushing Bride. Which is just this little pale pink. So this is 1 inch. This is the white, the next layer. I don't know if I said that yet. The next layer is 1 1/4, and then the next layer is 1 1/2. So I'm still using that 1/4 inch layering that I always talk about. Except I'm just using it in strips instead. There we go. It's just a little bit long. Oops. My water's dripping in the background. It like drives me crazy because I'm like, did I leave the water on? But I need to leave the water on because of the snow. Like, not snow, because of the ice. All right, there we go. Oops, no, I shouldn't have used this side. This side has a bend in it. Let me see if I have another piece. I don't think I have another white card. Oh, I do, good. I'm gonna peel this off. This card has like a big like crease in it. Good, I had another piece. It had a big crease in it. All right, so I just gotta be careful when I'm putting my sentiment on, because I have a sideways sentiment, so I gotta make sure that it opens like that. So now I'm gonna put some dimensionals, except I'm just gonna put dimensionals across the center. Oh, look at how off my little oval was when I glued it on. But I got it centered in the middle, so that's okay. I'm just gonna put dimensionals in this center line because I want that popped up, but that's it. Because if I put them here, it's gonna crease across. I'm gonna put a couple here, just a few, just so it doesn't fold, but not necessarily. Yeah, that should be good. But you want it to like stay up, so it's like kind of tricky. In my opinion, I'd rather use enough dimensionals than not enough, and then when I mail it, it winds up like squished and creased. Because, you know, you do all this work to make your card look nice. You want it to be nice when you mail it. Yeah. And that's centered. Okay. Yeah. And see, that pink is, to me, a little bit better pink with that. Then I was going to show you how the dies, so in addition to the ovals that I keep showing you, there's also these dies that'll cut out the flowers and the greenery in your stamp set. So like this one here goes here on this flower. There's another one that'll cut out this flower. There's one that'll cut out this and this. I don't think there's one for this, but there are ones for each of these flowers. So if I wanted to stamp these and cut them out, I could do that as well. I don't do a lot of florals, but I just love this paper. And so this shape actually fit here. So I used my little cutter to cut out this one little flower, and then I don't have to cut it out by hand. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some dimensionals on it and just pop it on there. So I didn't even have to color it or anything. I'm just adding dimensionals to it. Let me trim up this one here. I didn't do it on the other. Oh, the back side of this is that pretty like little fern. Let's see. Yeah, and I want to put, I guess I just need one more piece here. And so isn't that funny? And so there is my little, but look at how the paper, so yes, sometimes I'll use the paper on the whole card, and that is great because it shows off. Let me add a little strip under that little, I'm going to add one little strip under that corner to make sure that it stays up. That little fern. Oh, nice. Score for you. All right, there we go. And so adding that one little dimensional here, make sure that these ferns here stay up. You could even add maybe another one here, but I like that it's overlapping the oval. It's not necessarily squishing it down, but it's enough to keep it in a, oh, I did place it over the top of it by mistake. There we go. There we go. Oh, darn it. Look what I did. Trying to fix things and I make another problem. So like, I'm just going to put this down there. There we go. All right, there we go. So there's our next card, but I didn't have to do any coloring by hand or anything. I just used that paper to do the accents. And again, you could add other embellishments, but I'm just going to keep it simple. Now, I don't have a die to cut out this, but I'm going to cut it out by hand. So this is the only one where I used a cut it out by hand. So what'll happen is sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a sheet like this and I'll go ahead and I'll just use it as my cutout sheet, meaning that I'll cut out the florals on it and use those as embellishments, and that's it. And then the other sheet I'll use for like the front of a card. And that's just another little tip you could use when you're cutting out your, when you're using your paper. When you have a large image, let me cut this out. I want to use just this piece here. And I'll use this flower on something else, you know, in the future. And I'm saving even this little scrap here because every so often I'll do a card where I want, you know, just the greenery, you know, underneath. So like I could easily put this greenery popping out from underneath the oval. You see, like, so I'm not wasting that greenery, but it's still, you know, I could still use it, you see? So yeah, I try it, you know, I mean, a simple layout, Sylvia, can have a big impact. And another thing I've done also with these edges is I've actually cut them out and made them 3D. So I've cut these out and made them 3D and glued them all over the page, which was kind of cool. So the whole one would be in the center, but then I took these little pieces that were scraps and I glued them around the edges, which was kind of fun. So they were all 3D images and the space in between was blank, but it still had this really cool effect. I made an animal card that way. Oh, I cut that a little tight. That's a bummer. All right, so I'm just going to trim this up. I'm going to cut it by hand. Remember, you turn the paper, not the scissors. And when you turn the paper, it just makes it a cleaner cut. And I'm using this flower because it matches the paper I used. It had this yellow. This is mango, actually. I used a different color. I thought it was Daffodil Delight, but it's actually mango when I look up close here. But that's okay. They're cousins, so it'll be fine. All right. So I cut out my little piece. So the hardest part, so that's why I did this one last, because it was just the hardest one. And I'm using the beveled edge and the yellow this time. And I think I'm going to just add it to the corner. I saw some other people do them in the center like this, you know, and that's the embellishment. See, I love this one here. And so I took the matching coordinating big flower that coordinated with this. And so I think I'm going to do the same thing with the flower and just put it in the corner, except it's going to be long ways. So I have to decide if I want it like this. I think I want it like this in the center, and then I'll have it to the side there. I think that'll be good. Yeah. Now, it's almost like a mistake how I cut this, because you see I'm going to be using it. Oh, but I could do it this way. There we go. I could still do it this way and not have it centered and just have it off like this. Because you see how the flowers go up almost? It's not exactly an up, you know, like technically it doesn't look bad to have it sideways like this, but to me it feels a little bit like it's the incorrect direction. It's not totally wrong. It just feels that way a little bit. So maybe I'll do it off to the side like that, and then add my flower there. That would be okay. Or I feel like, no, I think it needs to be added off to the side like that, because then it's taking up more of this white space. So let me glue these on. It's not really incorrect. It just makes me feel like it's incorrect a little bit. But no one's going to notice it except for me. So there's no point in really being too uptight about it. I'm sure if I sent this card to Sylvia, she wouldn't complain. She'd be like, oh, how pretty. She won't even notice. So, you know, most people would never even notice that something was, you know, the wrong direction or something. All right, and then glue these down. Just a simple layout. So yeah, look, it's 4:43. So I made 4 cards in 45 minutes, basically. And I also talked in the beginning. So in 40 minutes, I made 4 cards out of this, with this simple layout. And again, that strip is just a little, I just cut it a little too big. You got to be careful, because see how I started to get like a shaving, because I started to get a little too fussy. So be careful when you're cutting like that, because sometimes you can get a funny shaving effect to it. Okay, and let me glue this together. And so I took the beveled edge one and the framed looking one, the one with the little notches on the frame, and I layered those together. They just barely layer in together. Look at that. It's really close. And it's crooked because of how I was doing it. That's why I'm stamping last in this situation. And then I think I'll put the flower right there. So I'm going to use that Wishes for the birthday, but I'm going to try and make sure that it's up a little higher. And then that way I can move my flower a little over. Yeah, I want this to be near the top of the oval. So you see how before I'm gluing anything down or stamping, I'm double checking to make sure that it's going to be correct. I might even need to move it a little bit like that when I'm done, but I want this Wishes pretty high up. And I think I'm going to use the full strength of the polished pink, because that is right there, you know, and you can see it. The other just didn't look right when I was using it. And you could see that, you know, the colors were just a little off. It still coordinates. It just kind of bugged me. I wanted the ink to match it. So I'm going to stamp this as high up the top as I can and still fit, because the flower will be my embellishment at the bottom. There we go. And so, yes, it's too high, but once we add the flower, it'll be just right. And that was polished pink. And So I want to see, I think I want this a little higher. And then I'm going to push this oval a little over to the right. And that way the flower, yeah, not too far over. Yeah, and then the flower could be right there. So I'm going to I'm going to glue that down about right there. So I didn't glue it in the center, I think, on any of them. I think just my instinct is not to. So my instinct is to always have things a little off center, because if I intentionally make it off center, then it's harder for it to be like incorrect, you know what I mean? And so it looks more intentional. So if I try to make it exactly center, sometimes it can look incorrect. All right. And then I'm just going to put dimensionals here on the top and the bottom here, because I don't want it to pop too much up. Let's see. Yeah, I normally go to the movies on Christmas, but this year it's on a Sunday. So that kind of, I'm Mormon. I don't really do things on Sunday, but I mean, I just try not to. It's just a thing. And so, yeah, that looks good. But so that kind of bummed me out a little, because I always go to the movies on Sunday. I mean, on Christmas Day, but I can't do that this year. Oh, I kind of messed up I turned it. I was thinking I was going to have it. I don't know. Anyway, but it's okay. So let me put a dimensional here and a dimensional there. And I might even just put a glue dot right here so it holds it down. Okay. So a dimensional here and here. Yeah. Here and here. And let me grab a glue dot. And I'm just picking it up with my fingers because I only need it to hold it down a little bit. I'm not using it to super secure anything. So let me peel these off. There we go. There we go, done. I think I can put a dimensional under there. Whoop, 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 nope, nope, nope. Too much. There we go. There we go. Just didn't want it to like fold down. So there we go. So there's our last card. So in about 45 minutes or so, I put together all 4. Now I did have to do a little bit of the cutting ahead of time, but actually some of these I had cut out, these ovals, I had cut out from when I had done the Cinderella cards. Because remember, I didn't use every part of my Cinderella card. I just used some of them, and so some parts. And so when I did that, I didn't wind up using all of my pieces. And I feel like on this one, I kind of would want to add maybe a couple little embellishments here, you know, like just to kind of fill a little bit of that blank space. I mean, I could even stamp a flower in here or something, but I don't know. I don't, feel like, oh, see, it's the for a beautiful. That's what making it look a little crooked. But if I put some embellishments right here, no one's going to know it's crooked. And so, yeah, for a beautiful should have been more straight, but that's, my mistake. And then this one I did up and down. That's what's making it look crooked over here. I figured it out. It's the with all my that's crooked, you see, because these are straight letters. So they're a little crooked, you see, against that. But it's, you know, it's only from my eyes because you see For a Beautiful is very straight right here, but it's a little off here. But this is the first time I've used the stamp set really. So, you know, those are things you live and learn, you learn. So if I got a few embellishments and added a couple embellishments right here, that'll distract from any, any quote unquote mistakes. I'm not going to throw away this card, obviously. I'm going to still use it because even if I put a bow here or something, it'll just kind of show a little different side. And I think the flower ones look nice too, Sylvia. I agree. Well, this paper is only available until December 31st, this flower paper. It is while supplies last. This is called the Fitting Florets. Now, we have other floral paper that you could do the same idea with in the next year. But this particular paper I'm using right now is only available until December 30th. That doesn't mean you can't use a different paper. You could still do the same idea and cut it out. You wouldn't maybe have the cutter, but you could cut it out by hand like we did here. But yeah, so this paper is only available until the 31st or 30th. December 30th or whatever, the last day of December. So yeah, none of them are centered. This one's almost centered, but I just kept moving it. And so I figured out my issue. So when I stamp next time with this stamp, I need to remember that For a Beautiful needs to be in line with where I want it. Same with here, With All My Heart. It's straight on this one, but not on this one because I wasn't even really thinking. I just stamped, you know. And so because it's not a circle, it comes off a little funny. But no one would notice except for me. So yeah, they turned out really good. I think I agree. I think if I added a few embellishments, it would just amp up the card a little bit more. But I just wanted to keep it a simple stamp, ink, and paper this time. Let's just keep it super simple. Sometimes I think we overcomplicate things, you know, not realizing, you know, that, look, just the paper and the stamps and ink was enough. And even look, on this one, I used a different cardstock. It was cool that I used just the white, but it was kind of nice to add this nice little contrast. I think I added this extra contrast because of these flowers. I didn't want too much of the white on white, but it looks okay here to have the white on white. So, you know, it's funny how your brain works, you know, when you're doing these designs, you know. So, well, I'm glad you liked everything and tuned in. Feel free to comment and share, because remember, I always put you in for my drawing for the cards that I make in the video. And so feel free to comment and share. And that's all I can have for us today, you guys. And so I can put this away. I'm done with my ink. Oh, I almost forgot to put away my ovals. So I gotta put those back in the case. And I just put them all back in the one stamp case with magnet. You can get these large magnet. Oops, there's my extra ovals. I think I did that wrong. Yeah, I want this at the bottom. You can get the large magnet strips from, I stuck them together by mistake, my bad. You can get the large magnet strips from like Michael's or something. I just happen to have this roll of magnet. Like a roll with sticker on the back. And so I've just been using that just because it's what I had. But if I had like the larger strips, or larger like flat pieces, I'd be using that instead. But, you know, use what you got. And so that's what I'm doing. And so there we go. And I store that away so that the next time I need to make the ovals and use this stamp set, I've already got those extra pieces in there. So yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in, you guys. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great Christmas, and I will see you guys next week, the day after Christmas. I'll have to think of what Disney character I'm going to do then. I'm not sure at this moment. I have to think. We'll see. I'll come up with something good, I'm sure. I just have to think. So All right, well, have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Merry Christmas.